what happens if UCLA stays in the Pac-12? It's something for people to think about because the UC Board of Regents, who essentially is the governing body of education in California, essentially manages the University of California at Los Angeles, UCLA. So there was a change in regulation and language that allowed UCLA to act autonomously in its best interest, to which UCLA said, okay, cool, we're leaving the Pac-12 and going to the Big Ten for a bigger payday. Well, all of a sudden that got some people rankled, and politicians now don't believe it's in the best interest of UC on the whole, including Cal Berkeley, for UCLA to go to the Big Ten. So there is a possibility, although everybody I've asked says it's a slim possibility, less than a 5% chance that the UC Board of Regents would keep UCLA in the Pac-12. But the question has to be asked, what happens if UCLA stays in the Pac-12? Because it causes a ripple effect. So let's say that George Kliavkoff, the commissioner of the Pac-12, gets what he wants, which he has very clearly lobbied for and fought to keep UCLA in the Pac-12. Well, if Kliavkoff gets what he wants, here's a question for you. Well, UCLA stays in the Pac-12. What is the Big Ten going to do? They have a contract to fulfill with its new TV partners. What if UCLA is not an option for the Big Ten? Well, I agree with the commenter who said, well, doesn't that mean that we are probably going to see a situation where Oregon and Washington and or plus them both wind up in the Big Ten? Which I think would be far more damaging to the Pac-12 without Oregon and or Washington in the conference. I think it's just as damaging as USC and UCLA leaving, Jake. So I don't feel like there's ultimately a good outcome here for the Pac-12.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the conversation of, hey, who do we want to lose? Like, I think that the Big Ten is such a juggernaut in the business and money-making space of college football that you know, the Pac-12 and really what's going to be the Pac-10 doesn't really have much of a choice here. I mean, if you want to keep UCLA, great. That means, as you said, that Oregon and these other schools are probably going to leave. If you want to allow UCLA to go, then great. You know, then maybe these other schools stay, but I have a sneaking suspicion they'll still go. So to me, I don't, like, if I'm the Big Ten, I'm not even worried per se. Worried's not the word I would use about UCLA staying or going. I'm more sitting here saying, okay, let's just see what they decide to do, because hey, if you want to keep UCLA, then we'll go get Oregon and Washington, and we'll go get these other schools. And if you know, if you want to give us UCLA along with SC, then great. That's awesome. And obviously, just to be very explicit, you know, SC is not part of the Board of Regents conversation. Obviously, SC is gone either way. But my point just is when you start to package these schools together and you start to look at value and what each school and institution brings to the Big Ten, you know, obviously UCLA brings some really good value. So to me, it's not really even a negative or worried about the situation thing for the Big Ten. It's more like, you know, to your point, like, hey, yeah, we do have this TV contract, but one way or another, we're going to expand. We're going to add West Coast talent. So that's why I say I don't think they have anything to be worried about. I would more be excited. I would more be like, all right, cool. We're finally going to get an answer to this. Once we get that answer, now we can push forward and we can build the, you know, the Big Ten after dark, if you will. You know, we told you all about how in this new TV deal, the Big Ten is going to take that late night West Coast slot and try to dominate that. So that's why I'm saying, hey, the Big Ten has a lot to look forward to here. And I don't think there's any reason for them to be worried or stressing or anything like that. This is just simply, hey, we're at a fork in the road. Whatever decision is made, we're going to go the other way. Like, that's just that simple.
I also think this conversation about how empowered is the UC Board of Regents, I'm in line after talking to a great number of people about this in the industry. I'm in line with the belief that the UC Board of Regents can, in fact, block UCLA from leaving the conference. I don't think there's a great chance that happens, but I actually think they do have the authority to keep UCLA in the Pac-12. I mean, it would be a foolish move. I think that the problem here, again, I'll go back to George Kliavkoff, the commissioner of the Pac-12.
You know,
if Kliavkoff hasn't thought about the ramifications of this move,
Right.
I would be shocked.
Right.
All right, because, again, this is a guy who has lobbied and fought hard to keep UCLA in the conference. But I don't know that he's thought beyond that. Okay, cool, UCLA stays. All right, it's a win for us. What if they leave? Okay, well, then we're going to have to react. Well, George, what if they stay? You can't tell me that the Big Ten's not coming. And the question is, can the UC Board of Regents do this? Yeah, they can. I believe they can. Will they? I don't believe they will ultimately at the end. Yeah, at the end of this, I don't believe they will. But I think George Kliavkoff better watch for what he wishes for.
Yeah.
Because if he truly gets what he wants, which is UCLA being forced to stay in the Pac-12, I think it is absolutely going to quicken and hasten the pace of the death of the Pac-12.
Final.
Because I actually think Oregon and Washington are far, far, far more important to the long-term health of the conference than UCLA is. I again maintain UCLA is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things in college athletics right now.
Yeah, I mean, look at it from a business perspective. We've been talking all season long about how Oregon has the TV numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like, we know that Oregon tops the chart in terms of viewership, and we've talked all about how, UCLA, and really, I have to say, I even like in Alabama, I'm not sure would fill a 100,000 seat stadium regularly. I mean, that is a big ask. So, like, I just don't think that George Kliavkoff understands the ramifications of this decision. I think he wants to win.
I don't think so at all.
A sandbox fight, and I think that he just wants to say, hey, like, we got this done, and we saved UCLA, and we saved the Pac-12, and then we're going to get another cycle of this whole conversation about Oregon and the schools up north leaving. And then that's when the death of the PAC is going to ensue. And it's really unfortunate because, again, I have to say, the Pac-12 could be the best conference in the land. It really could. It has that potential.
But if you look at these numbers right here, these are the conference championship games. And you look at these numbers, the Pac-12 has essentially half of what the SEC has. And I know that everybody says, well, they played that game on a Friday. If it was on a Saturday, well, again, ask yourself, why is it on a Friday? Because the major TV networks do not value the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted that game on a Saturday.
Facts.
And again, I will point that Larry Scott and now George Kliavkoff have both tried to get these exclusive windows. Look at what the Rose Bowl was doing, trying to get an exclusive window. Like, there's this idea that if we're the only game in town, then we'll be the only game in town that everybody's watching, and that's just not the case.
Nope.
Because I think you look at these numbers on the screen right now, and you see that Purdue and Michigan pulled a 10.7 million audience. Utah and USC. USC, the largest property, I don't think it's even arguable in the Pac-12, didn't even pull half that. And for my money, this is a problem. And you can sit here and you can say, hey, well, if our championship game had been on a Saturday, there'd have been more people watching. I got news for you. There wouldn't have been.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And B, there's a reason it wasn't. TV networks do not value the Pac-12 at the level that they value the SEC and the Big Ten.
And why would they?
And again, look at the Big 12 numbers. You got beat by almost 4 million viewers by K-State and TCU, who, by the way, I'd also remind you, note that TCU right there in the middle of the screen at 36.3 million. So this narrative that TCU is just that small Jesus Christ loving institution in Dallas Fort Worth.
Yeah, they're a bunch of crap scooting,
Yeah, I mean,
degenerates.
they play football and scoop manure. Nobody watches them. 36.3 million.
No.
And they outdrew your beloved Pac-12.
Yeah.
And I'm saying all of this to try and wake you up to the fact that the Pac-12 is in real trouble. It doesn't have the money-making, revenue-generating infrastructure that the top three conferences have. And again, I know I say it like it's a fact. I understand that there's conjecture and opinion around who's in better position, the Big 12 or the Pac-12. I'm here to tell you these numbers right here that we're looking at TV view-wise don't lie.
Yeah.
Like, where's the Pac-12 school in here? Clemson, Texas, TCU, Penn State,
ACC,
Notre
Big
Dame,
12, Independent,
LSU, Tennessee,
SEC.
Georgia, Bama, Michigan, Ohio. Like,
So wait, you mean to tell me everybody else leads the charge in the Pac-12 is last?
and you're on the outside looking in, and that includes USC, that includes UCLA that you're fighting to keep. I think the reality at some point has to set in that you're just not good at the business of college athletics.
And ultimately, what else matters? I mean, I know obviously players and people who are on the field on weekends, winning the game matters and the football product matters. But honest to God, let's be blunt here. Nothing else matters besides how much money you make in college football. That is it.
That's it.
Like, if Dion at Colorado wasn't making money, he wouldn't have put up the Ford GT and the Jag on the field with the player and the NIL and the recruiting and all the drip, right?
Yeah.
Money is the lifeblood of this sport. It just is. And for the life of me, I don't understand, like, why it's so hard to understand that for the leadership, A, the leadership of the institutions themselves, B, the obviously the commissioner of the Pac-12, George Kliavkoff. We've been talking about him for weeks now.
Can you enunciate the cock part of that?
No,
Okay. I think, enough of what we think. What do you guys think? Jake Gordon says, morning casuals. Finally made it to the live. Love you guys and love the show. Thanks, Jake. Appreciate
good to
it,
have
man.
you here, bro.
Jordan Brown says, BBQ Pit Stop hooked it up yesterday in St. Jeezy.
Bro, what'd you get?
What'd you get?
Tell us what you got, man.
Yeah, what did you get? Let's hear it, man. Jesse Harsh, good morning to you. In what world does UCLA stay? How is this a topic? Good morning, by the way. Because it's a topic because the UC Board of Regents has the ability to keep UCLA in the Pac-12.
Yeah, there's a choice here. Like, be very clear. Like, there is a choice. Now, obviously, as we've said like 5 times already, the choice is pretty obvious, right? Like, it's very, very likely that UCLA leaves and they don't stand in the way. But there is still that choice. We still are at the fork in the road here.
And the UC Board of Regents, and again, if you're just tuning in, the UC Board of Regents, the governing body over the educational system, the state educational system. So again, UC Berkeley, UCLA, the UC schools.
Yeah.
They have a meeting tomorrow, and they have kicked the can down the road on this for months. They have their final Board of Regents meeting tomorrow where this topic will be finally, we're told, given closure. And I think there is a large percentage that UCLA goes to the Big Ten. But I would not be at all surprised, knowing the way that California operates and the dysfunction there, if, in fact, the UC Board of Regents kept UCLA in the Pac-12. I would not be surprised by that at all.
Because think about it, like, and I know we got a lot of comments to get to, but I think it's a really interesting situation. So we know that leadership group, the Board of Regents, and everybody who controls college football in the state of California, like you said, is incredibly dysfunctional. We know that they stand in their own way. We know that they don't make the pragmatic decision, that they always seem to be digging the grave deeper, if you will, for the conference. And so yeah, I do think, in my opinion, UCLA is going to the Big Ten. But if you told me on Thursday morning on this show that, hey, they decided to keep UCLA, would anyone really be that surprised? Would anyone really be that shocked that they decided to stand in their own way once again?
I don't think so.
And so that's why I say, like, this whole thing, to bring this back home a little bit, the Big Ten doesn't need to be in a position where it's worried or stressed or having anxiety. The Big Ten is in the catbird seat here saying, okay, great, make your decision on UCLA, and then depending on what you do, we'll go one way or the other, and we'll ride off into the sunset on this $70 million a year per school TV contract.
Yep. Ahmad El Mabashir, I got that wrong, said, let's go. NYC loves the Monty Show. Appreciate you, Ahmad. Gage Carter, good morning to you. He said, sad news about Mike Leach. Yeah, the update on Mike Leach is there's not really an update. He is still in critical condition in Jackson.
Some shit happened.
In Jackson, Mississippi, where he was airlifted.
Yeah.
There's some ESPN had a report that Mike Leach was not feeling well. And Mike has congestive heart failure as a condition. Which means he has extra fluid around his heart and lungs. He had really bad pneumonia this year that kept him away from the sideline. Apparently the other night, according to ESPN, Mike Leach was not feeling well, sat down on his couch and was chilling, fell asleep, and never woke back up. And he was found unresponsive. He was taken to a hospital in Starkville, where then he was airlifted to Jackson. And the prevailing theory is that he had a heart incident. Does that mean heart attack? I don't know what happened. No, I don't think anybody really knows what happened at the moment. But they have worked for 2-3 days here to just stabilize Mike Leach. And apparently that's happened, and now they're starting to get into the process of diagnosing what the issue or what the incident was. But
yeah,
Mike Leach is said to be in critical condition, so it is, congestive heart failure is a real thing, and we talk about it a lot. We were talking about it at the gym yesterday, working out. That you have to live every day, man. Like you cannot assume that tomorrow's guaranteed, because it's not. It's absolutely not. All right, talking UCLA to the Big Ten here on the Monty Show. All of our college football talk is brought to you by our good friends at Barbecue Pit Stop. Make sure you find any of their 5 Utah locations, from Logan, Layton, Murray in Salt Lake City. Now it's in my head. Logan, Layton, Lehigh, St. George, and Murray. That's the order I got to say it in. Logan, Layton, Lehigh, St. George, and Murray. You already know they have the best equipment, whether that is Traeger, Big Green Egg, Yoder, you name it, they've got it. I'm a Traeger guy through and through.
Made some wings on the Traeger yesterday. Freaking
love
bomb,
it.
dude.
And again, the Asado seasoning.
Dude.
If you have not bought Asado seasoning.
And one small tip, right? Like, go buy the Asado seasoning. While you're at Barbecue Pit Stop, though, please buy some gloves. Like, just some rubber gloves, Because yesterday, this Asado seasoning stuff is so good and so potent. My hands were like orange for like 3 hours after breading these wings, dude. It was incredible.
There's the Asado seasoning on the screen.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, if you have not gotten the Flavor Knuckles Asado seasoning, and it's for everything.
Yes.
Wings, chops, steaks, burgers. I don't care what you're making on the Traeger. You got to have the Asado seasoning.
I'd even put it on some fish.
You can get it online at their website. In fact, if you look, you see the little chat box in the bottom left. If you go to barbecuepitstop.com, bbqpitstop.com, if you go to their website, you can chat with them online. You can shop online. Like, you don't have to leave your house. Their hookup is amazing, and the guys there are great. The guys at Barbecue Pit Stop are what you're paying for. The equipment's second to none. The meats are second to none. Every one of their stores has a butcher counter. They're all just fantastic dudes, and I'm telling you right now, man, if you're serious about gift giving this Christmas, bbqpitstop.com.
Do it.
Is absolutely the way to go. I love those guys. I have a lot of respect because every one of those stores is independently owned. They're franchises, but they're independently owned. I'm telling you, they're just fantastic dudes. All right, a couple more of your comments in here. Lord Radon, good morning to you. Lord Radon.
Radon sounds better.
Okay, that's like a gas that kills people.
Yeah.
Radon. UCLA is gone. I just want to see the PAC commissioner exposed even more as a liar. Seriously, after the last meeting, how is he still employed? He's an embarrassment.
But again, you have to understand that's a great question. He's employed because what he's doing, they want him doing. Right? Like, don't be confused on this. The Pac-12 thinks that it can lie its way to security and stability.
Yeah.
Which is not true. That's
called
not
smoke
how
and
it
mirrors,
works,
dude.
Right?
It is.
That's marketing.
And I know that the Pac-12 has passionate fan bases. I'm a fan of the Pac-12. I tell you all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm also a realist. The Pac-12 is struggling. The Pac-12 is dying. And it's dying because they don't have the TV audience that all the other conferences have, because they don't have distribution.
Facts.
They can't get distribution because of this UCLA, UC Board of Regents thing. And again, talking to a TV source this week, they straight up said it is unlikely a deal will come quickly after the UC Board of Regents decision. Because now what's going to happen, everybody assumes, and let's just play the assumption game, UCLA goes to the Big Ten, let's say.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have Southern California. The TV distribution partners are going to want to negotiate down. UCLA stays in the Pac-12. Okay, well, now the TV partners are going to want to wait and chill for a minute, and see how the Big Ten reacts, because most people think they'll poach Oregon and Washington.
Which is even worse, in my opinion, because Oregon has the numbers.
So now if Oregon and Washington are gone, or let's just say it's a like-for-like swap, Oregon gone, UCLA stays. Well, their TV partners are going to want to pay less because UCLA, there's a ton of apathy in Los Angeles, and nobody's tuning in for UCLA football.
Yeah.
There's no winning here for the Pac-12. That's what George Kliavkoff doesn't understand.
But you're never going to hear him say that because, like, the UC Regents and the people who control college football in the state of California don't want him saying that.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maury Alvarez, good morning to you. If UCLA stays, the Pac then may have a chance to survive. I agree. Being able to sell Los Angeles is better than not being able to sell Los Angeles.
But again, you could be in Timbuktu. If you have TV numbers, you can sell.
Well, Washington State has TV numbers. That's a very good point.
So to me, this goes back to why the Rose Bowl is a problem, right? Not the Rose Bowl itself that's going to be played here in 2 weeks. The stadium, the building, right? That's why this is such a problem, because even if you did have 60,000 in that building every week for UCLA, it still looks half empty. Oh, that's right, because it is still half empty.
No,
so
absolutely
that's the problem. So that's why I say, like, I appreciate that comment. I don't even disagree with that per se, but my problem is that it doesn't matter where you are. If you have numbers, you're going to be able to sell. And I think you make a great point. Either way, the Pac-12 is going to be in trouble here.
Yeah, if UCLA stays or goes, it's a tough road to hoe, man. It truly is. Eric in Raleigh says it'll be the Pac-11.
I guess.
My guy. It'll be the Pac-11. Luis Capazzo says, hit that thumbs up, people. Yeah.
Where are we at?
Seriously, we're at 21.
Okay, not bad.
21 likes.
Not bad. 28 minutes into the show, not bad.
So if there's 90 people watching this show right now, if everybody hits the like button right now, that would really help us.
Please.
Let's go. Please give us a like. We're really trying to get to 9,000 by the end of the month. The like button, if you're already subscribed and you hit the like button, it really helps us grow subscribers because it shows our content to more people. And generally, because we're freaking amazing, we just need to get people here, and then, it's all, it's good. Anyway, let's see. Josh Lovren says, Brock Heward is a football coach. I believe Leach, one of the 3 most impactful coaches of this century. Okay, let's not overstate things.
Yeah, relax.
Let's relax a little. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's settle down a little bit. Lord Raiden says, Jesus Christ, get past Oregon. Oregon is not valuable to the Big Ten. It would be Stanford or Washington. So wait, let me get this right, Lord Raiden, and we can disagree.
Here we go.
And I think this is a viable conversation. If you're telling me that Oregon's not valuable, let me tell you why they are. Massive TV audience, massive stadium that's always full, usually. They have a winning tradition, even though they haven't won a national championship. They compete at the top of the conference year in and year out. You have a guy, that in my opinion is recruiting well and coaching well, and he uses the transfer portal well. You have Phil Knight, who throws his money all over the place, including on those terrible paint splatter uniforms. And it gives the Big Ten a West Coast footprint in the Pacific Northwest. So now they would have essentially 4 corners of the country. So explain to me again how Oregon's not valuable. Large TV audience. I think the marketing money, winning, big games, big TV numbers in one-off games. So you're happy to have Georgia and Oregon playing the whatever your mom's bowl kickoff classic.
That's right, T.
So when you say they're not valuable, let's play the Stanford game. Stanford's a program that's not valuable. It's incredibly difficult to utilize, and Colorado made this change. It's incredibly difficult at Stanford to utilize the transfer portal because academically, most kids, 9 out of 10 kids can't get into Stanford. They just don't qualify. Then you throw in football players. Those guys, 9 out of 10 football players don't qualify. So you can't recruit at the highest level. The university administration doesn't care if you win or lose. Nobody goes to your games. The stadium's small and it's empty, and nobody watches your games on television. So
I don't even think that's you hating.
Those are facts.
That's just the reality of it. Like
having worked at the great KMBR 680, the sports leader, in San Francisco, I can tell you, I don't even know that people care about Cal football. It's got more tradition. Stanford's a basketball school, and they're not a good basketball school right now. So I'm just telling you, you can sit here and run this nonsense about how Oregon's not valuable. Oregon and Washington are, I don't even think it's close, the two most valuable schools remaining in the Pac-12. I don't think it's close.
Utah be damned.
I don't think it's close. I don't know. I don't know how you say that Oregon's not valuable. That's crazy to me. Tanner says, man, if UCLA stays, that'd be great for the Pac-12. Maybe. David Floyd says Big 12 could add UCLA, Cal, and a few others. Are you going to let, if you're the UC Board of Regents, you're not going to let UCLA go to the Big 10, but you'd let them go to the Big 12. Not sure about that. Jake Gordon, can we just put the Pac-12 schools on a little island by themselves where they can just do their own thing? That would be lovely. We're research institutions over here on the island. Get your little dinghy if you want to come over and play. That's what it would feel like, I think. Eric and Raleigh, the Big Ten is going to take Oregon and Washington regardless of the outcome of UCLA.
Yeah, I also think that's an interesting point, too. Like, I think, Oregon and Washington are the top class of the Pac-12. They just are. Like, I know SC is SC, but they're gone. They've already gone. Like, we can't forget that. So to me, it's like this is where, as a Salt Lake City show, I get frustrated because Utah should be in this conversation. Like, undoubtedly should be in the conversation, and they're not. And to me, I don't know if you're the Big Ten, why you wouldn't. To Eric's point, why would you not still poach at least Oregon, if not both of them in Washington? Like, why wouldn't you do that? That to me makes sense.
Because you don't have the money.
Well,
and the biggest question is, if you are all of the TV partners in the Big Ten, are you willing to pony up more bread to get Oregon and Washington? And I don't think they are. And I think the issue is that the Ohio States, the Michigans of the world are not going to pay to have Oregon and Washington join the conference.
Because the Big Ten is NBC, right?
The Big Ten is CBS.
CBS.
The Big Ten is the Big Ten, essentially CBS and NBC.
And then ESPN has the SEC, and then a bunch of other second tier.
And the Big 12.
Yeah, stuff.
Yeah. So, and Fox has the Big Ten, but they also have, the lower tier games of football in the Big 12 and the majority of the Big 12 football basketball contract.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a matter of making the money work. And again, that's why I will just keep saying, you look at this situation, like by extension here, as we talk college football realignment on the Monty Show, like this story about Oklahoma and Texas leaving to the SEC after next season, so that the kickoff of 2024, they're in the SEC, because who's going to be in the Big Ten at that point? UCLA or USC, and likely UCLA. So the SEC wants to be on level ground, which for the TV partners aren't going to stand in the way of that. They want that.
Yeah.
So all of this makes sense, right? The question is, like, look at the Big 12. Is the Big 12 going to be viable the way it is now by adding these 4 schools and subtracting Texas and Oklahoma? Well, the question is, how long does it take Oklahoma to get their head out of their ass and become a good football program again? Because with all due respect to Brett Venables, the head coach, he had a disastrous season.
And with all due respect,
he's on the brink. And if this is a bad season, there will be a new coach at Oklahoma going into the SEC.
Yeah, they don't have time to sit around.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah. And I say the same thing about Sark and the guys at Texas. And I that staff is loaded.
But Sark seems to find a way a lot of times, at least. At least with Sark, you can be like, well, he's kind of been there.
But how long are you willing at Texas to be good, not great?
Oh, they're incredibly willing. You're going into the SEC. You're not doing anything for 5 years. There's no question.
I see, and I just think that's – I don't agree with that. I think when you go from a conference like the Big 12 and you go from that to the SEC, it's a very small jump. Talent-wise, it's a very small jump. If Texas was Texas, if they were Vince Young's Texas, they'd be competing because, again, The SEC is good. It's not great. It's not deep. There are no top to bottom deep conferences in college football. There's not. But are you telling me that if Texas had been the program it should have been, they're easily on par with Ole Miss right now? In my opinion, you put Texas can play with anybody. I didn't say they could beat anybody. They can play with anybody. Notice that they take teams to the brink, especially at DKR. Yeah. They'll take you right to the limit.
Yeah.
But Bryce Young's going to find a way to beat Texas because Texas is going to let that happen.
Yeah.
At what point does Texas stop letting that happen? Maybe with the SEC and all that new money and all the new excitement in the boosters, like a hook 'em horns.
Oh, hook 'em.
Maybe that injects new energy. More NIL money, more ability to recruit, more ability to leverage the portal. I don't know. But what I'm telling you is the jump from the Big 12 to the SEC is not the jump from independence to the Big 12 for BYU.
Right.
It's not Utah jumping into the Pac-12. That's not what this is. So it makes sense for Oklahoma and Texas to go early. It makes sense for USC and UCLA, Texas and Oklahoma, to all make their moves at the same time.
Yeah.
And it makes sense then for whatever the Big 12 is going to do it before kickoff of next season.
Yeah.
Because the Big 12 cannot sit here and idly wait. And I'm not talking about adding Gonzaga to the basketball world. Because you can add just basketball, but that doesn't give you that fourth time zone that Brett Yormark has talked so much about.
Dude, like
there'd have to be other moves.
Guys like Radon, like the West Coast is valuable.
Josh Lovren says, or Eric and Rowley says, excuse me, for junior colleges, California already separates from the rest of the country. Why not just separate from the NCAA too? I don't think it's viable.
And now you're getting off the reservation.
I don't. Josh Lovren says, Big Ten wants old money schools. See, and I've asked about that. I think what the Big Ten wants is schools that they can put their thumb on. I don't think they want old money schools because Stanford ain't an old money school. I got news for you. Stanford does not spend money on athletics. They're not an old money school. You look at Cal, is not an old money school. USC, UCLA, is UCLA an old money school? Are they an old money school like Ohio State? Is it because everybody's got this hard on for, Ohio State's never going to let Oregon join. They said no. Ohio State doesn't singularly have control of anything.
Yeah.
So this idea that they want, and the proper terminology is legacy branded schools. It's why Northwestern works so well, right? Because they're
Northwestern.
They are Big Ten history. There's no such thing as the way we've always done it anymore. And until we get away from this idea that the Big Ten's going to operate the way they've always done it, well, they're not operating the way they've always done it.
That's
Commissioner
right,
Warren is a complete left turn from the way they've always done it.
Yeah.
It just, that concept of the Big Ten wants old money school, like, what does that mean to you? Because Stanford doesn't qualify.
The only attractive thing about Stanford is their academics from the standpoint of they can lift the caliber. They allow you to say, we're a conference of higher learning, right? Like they allow you to continue to say that if you were to add a Stanford. But they're not some 1,000-year-old school that's funded by Uncle Joe who's 15, family lines deep with money. That's not like, I don't know. I just like the Nebraskas and the Northwesterns and like all these schools in the Midwest that are just chilling and playing football, even though they never get into the college football playoff. Like, cool if that's what you want, but I don't know. That's not real scintillating.
I'm telling you now, this idea, like again, Josh, with all due respect, Josh says Oregon has wiggle room because of Nike Phil Knight money. Do they want old world money or do they not? Do they want what do you mean there's wiggle room? You can't have it both ways. Well, they're locked in on one particular school, but Phil Knight has a bunch of money. Okay, you think Washington doesn't have a bunch of money? What are you talking about? This is the stuff that drives me crazy when we talk about this stuff. That comment makes zero sense when you put it up against, they want old school money.
Yeah.
That makes no sense at all.
And I think this is what we do in sports. We try to overcomplicate things.
Yeah. Let's see. Jake Gordon says, isn't Arch Manning going to Texas? He is.
Yeah.
By the way, doesn't the early signing period start December 21st? I mean, this is a critical period of time. Arch Manning is committed and is going to Texas. So it's a critical stretch of time. So we'll see. Tanner Plummer says horns down. Okay, that's cool. Gonzaga. Q sound. Oh my God, just like that. That's right.
Oh my God, just like that.
That's right.
Gonzaga.
T. Wells says you have two teams in the SEC, Alabama and Georgia. That's it. The rest of the SEC is average at best.
LSU would do some things. I think Ole Miss. I think Arkansas gave some teams some trouble. You know, not that they're some great team, but they definitely gave some teams trouble.
I mean, you look at the West. I think Mississippi State, Alabama, and LSU are far better than average. I think Ole Miss. I don't know what the lane train has at Ole Miss right now. I don't know. I think that's an interesting question. I think that's up for debate. I think they are, yeah. I think Arkansas, Auburn, and Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher's an abject failure.
Yeah.
In the East, Georgia, Tennessee, and South Carolina are not average. Yeah, Kentucky, Florida, Missouri, Vandy, they're all average. I agree with that. But look at the Big Ten. If you look at the Big Ten, that's a two-team league. That is a two-team league. That is Michigan, Ohio State, and they're both in the East, and then everybody else. Penn State's an average team. Penn State is not better than LSU. Penn State, I don't know that Penn State's better than Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not a Penn State believer. And I get it. You're 7-2, but you're not nearly the best defense in the conference or the country. I mean, what separates Penn State? It's not that they don't score on par with anybody else. They don't stop people on par with anybody else.
Well, what separates them is their proficiency in creating nationwide scandals.
Well, there is that. I mean, you look at the Big Ten West, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
In the Big 12,
that's what I mean. We're trying to have a football conversation here, right? Well, we're having a business conversation.
Yeah.
This isn't about wins and losses. You guys got to understand that. Like, it is about money making, TV viewership, like branding, marketing, NIL. Like, that's what this is about. This isn't about whether Northwestern's winning a championship anytime soon, right? What is it about with Northwestern? Hey, it's a legacy brand that people want to be a part of, even though they suck every year. And I hear every time in the first 5 weeks of the year, oh, Northwestern is a perennial power in the Big Ten. And then they're like a 3-win team. Right?
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Like, all they care about is making money.
And again, Josh Lovren says old money equals traditional brands. So is Oregon not a traditional brand? Is Washington not a traditional brand?
Is UCLA not a traditional brand?
I mean, when you say that the Big Ten wants traditional brands, are you telling me that UCLA has more tradition, especially in football, than Oregon? UCLA doesn't have football tradition.
UCLA doesn't have Justin Herbert, Marcus Mariota.
Are you telling me that Stanford has football tradition? What tradition does Stanford have? None. This kills me. I love people who are like, "Oh yeah." Like, what tradition does Stanford have that Oregon doesn't?
This is like when they say this is like when people say the Conference of Champions. We have all this tradition. Yeah, great. In badminton, right? We're not talking about badminton here, guys. We're not talking about table tennis. We're talking about football.
My God. Let's see. Gage Carter says, I think Utah landing Stone Smith is huge. Yes, it is.
It is.
Utah's is on a hot streak.
It's a ridiculous recruiting class.
They're on a heater right now. Jerem says, Monty throwing down. # Monty for president. I will keep your Social Security entitlements.
Entitlements.
Having fun is the name of the game.
T. Wells says, now with the NIL, the playing field is leveling off. I would agree with that. Jake Gordon said, I believe there's a certain orange team in the SEC, Tennessee, that caused some trouble this year, but besides this year, Tennessee has been mediocre. Yeah, the Rocky Top has been pretty not rocky for visitors. I would
Never.
I would agree with that. David Floyd says Mizzou did just fine in the SEC when they first joined. Yeah, now they're just also Rans. NY Monty fan says, get him, Jake.
Yeah,
Get him.
I want you to listen to me.
UC Regent Gumby says badminton rocks. Yeah, why are you bagging on badminton, dude?
Because we're talking about football.
We're talking about football.
I'm going to say this again.
Dr. Pepperville Land City.
Yeah.
Brian Bosworth and stuff.
This is fucking America.
Salty Drunk says, the Monty Show, the truth in business. Hey, man. Yes, UC Board of Regent Gumby guy thing. This is a business geography discussion.
Exactly.
It absolutely is a business geography discussion.
Thank you.
There's no question about that.
Thank you.
There's no question. I'm just, again, and I guess we can go on and on and on about this, and I will just continue to espouse. If you believe that branding and tradition is more important than winning and making money, I don't know.
Conference of Champions.
I don't know how to help you. You're a Pac-12 fan.
Conference of Champions.
Yeah, it's neat that you guys. I mean, the crew team at Gonzaga is amazing.
Gonzaga.
I mean, the water polo team at Stanford. You want to talk about tradition?
Gonzaga.
I mean, wow. The bocce ball team at Berkeley. God damn.
Dilly.
They know how to play with damn balls. What are you talking about? I feel like that's what we're reduced to. That's what we're reduced to.
Yeah.
With this. The biggest stories in sports every single morning on the Monty Show, presented by Quick Quack Car Wash. Are you proud of me? I didn't say quick.
Yeah. Now, again, you guys know that it's snowing, right? It's been snowing. The roads are frozen today. There's a ton of sand. Like in South Jordan, right? We tell you all the time. There's a bunch of sand on the road, salt, dirt. It's going to mess up your car. Get a wash pass. Go through. Even if the line is long, rest assured, human beings work at Quick Quack, not machines. So that's how they're able to move you through so quick. So I imagine we'll probably be taking a little trip through the Quick Quack at the district.
We will. I pay $21.99 a month for my wash pass. I can go $99.95. I can go one time or 1,000 times every month. It does not matter. I can go as many or as few times as I want.
Right.
And I'm with you. I think the biggest win at Quick Quack Car Wash is it's quick. It's super easy. The people are really friendly. On snow days like today, when it's going to snow this morning, but the afternoon, go on your lunch break. You don't have to worry about it. Go pick up your lunch. Go in through the Quick Quack Car Wash.
Feel me?
It's super easy. It's fast. It's efficient. It's affordable. And the wash is top notch at Quick Quack Car Wash.